All right, everybody, I'd like to introduce our next presenter here at the Planet MicroCap Showcase Vancouver. It is John Constantine from ARCpoint. John, take it away.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us. Okay, so there are a couple things that we all have in common in this room, okay? Number one, it's getting late in the day. Is everybody caffeinated? You feel good? All right. Number two, everybody is a consumer of healthcare. That's a given, right? We all consume healthcare in one way or another. However, what you don't know is that 70% of healthcare decisions are based on a diagnostic test. That means that doctors need things like laboratory tests in order to make a decision on how they're going to treat you. What we're going to be talking about today is how ARCpoint is a direct-to-consumer laboratory diagnostics company based in the United States, serving a market that is complicated, expensive, and ridiculously hard to navigate. This is actually everywhere, right? This is in every room, so this is what we're supposed to put up there to make sure that we don't say the wrong things. If we do, this covers us, I guess. There you go. All right, the investor highlights are, generally speaking, healthcare company, okay? We're a technology-based company, but we blend technology with a robust brick-and-mortar network. We're a franchise group company. We have 135 sites across the country in 27 states. And just recently, we launched what we call ARCPoint Labs, which is a technology service that allows any consumer in the United States to order a lab directly from our system. We're going to go through how that actually works. We're a cash-based company. So one of the things that people get scared about with United States healthcare is that it's an insurance scheme. It's a third-party payer system, and you're beholden to how those third-party insurance providers are going to be providing reimbursement. We don't play that game, which means that we have a lot more flexibility in the pricing strategy that we want to deploy into our consumer base. We're also looking to simplify this process. Everybody in Canada brings up Life Labs when we start talking about this. And my question to them is, what do you have to do before you go to Life Labs? Well, you got to go talk to your doctor. How hard is it to get a hold of your doctor? Now, this is Canada. They're laughing in the back. It's not easy, right? It's hard to get a hold of your doctor. Well, in the United States, what you might not know is that it's just as hard, except you blend the difficulty getting a hold of a doctor with the complicated third-party payer system and the extra expense. And that means that you're not going to consume healthcare unless you need to. Expensive, okay? $13,000 is the average healthcare expenditure per citizen in the United States. That's crazy. It is twice what other developing countries is spending per healthcare. That's combined when you look at what the employee spends, what the employer spends, and what the government spends on healthcare. It's expensive. But not only is it expensive, it's confusing, and it's really hard to get access to. Only 6% of U.S. citizens understand how our insurance programs work. And this isn't some third party that put this together. This is United Healthcare that is saying that only 6% of the U.S. citizens understand how their health insurance is paid. Expensive, that $13,000 cost per citizen is now being shifted from the employer's pocket to the employee's pocket in what's called a high deductible health plan. So traditionally what would happen is the employer would pay the premiums for the insurance so that you'd pay, some small percentage of your healthcare fees when you consume those healthcare fees. Now, because of that cost rising so dramatically, employers aren't taking that burden on anymore. They're holding their employees accountable for their own health. And so they're switching employees over to what's called high deductible health plans, which means that you're going to spend thousands of dollars out of pocket before your insurance program even kicks in. Now, there is a caveat to a high deductible health plan, and that's it comes with a health savings account. A health savings account is a tax-free, tax-sheltered savings account that you can use with a debit card to buy healthcare services to help you overcome the burden of what you're going to be spending out of pocket. And then over 100 million people don't have a primary care practitioner, okay? Now, you could look at the optimistic side of that and say, well, that means 250 million people do have a family practice doctor, right? But the average family practice doctor has a patient load of 2,500 patients. That means that overwhelmingly they are overburdened. There's no way that a doctor is going to know about the nuances and the details of 2,500 people's lives. And on average, because of the number of patients that doctors see, they only get 5 minutes with the doctor or with their patients. 5-minute patient interactions means that, once again, it's complicated, it's expensive, and now the quality of care is not what you want. And so if quality of care is poor, it's expensive, hard to get access, you're just not going to use it. You're going to be reactionary in your care instead of preventative with your care. And that's what's happening. People are waiting months in order to say, well, I got a headache, or I feel like, I'm not what I used to be. I'm tired, I'm fatigued, but I'm just going to deal with it because I don't want to navigate the healthcare system. But it's changing. Consumers are starting to demand better treatment. So historically, healthcare system in the United States was based around the doctors. If you wanted to think about it like a bicycle wheel, the doctor was the hub, with things like an EMR coming as the spoke, with the doctor at the center. The patient wasn't the center of our healthcare. It's always been the doctor. Insurance companies set extreme reimbursements around the doctor's salaries, and they're in cahoots with the hospital system that's owned by private equity. In some cases, it's owned by the same company to drive the costs up, to drive profits to the hospitals, so that they can compete against the other hospital down the road for the talent of the doctor, which is in short demand. This means that the only person that loses in this system is the consumer. However, the consumers are looking for patient-based technology. They don't mind paying for healthcare services as long as they understand it and that it feels fair. You get what you pay for, basically. And they want it to be convenient. People are being proactive with their health. They're going to gyms. They're going to vitamin shops. They're going to chiropractors. They're figuring out other ways outside of the traditional healthcare system to take control of their own health, including diagnostic testing. And this is what's proving that. This market is booming. In 2022, it was a $3.7 billion market. It's projected to grow at almost 20% compounded annually through 2032. This is one stat that we found. There's other stats that show this growth to be closer to 30% compounded year on year. Okay? This is a growing market, and this isn't just the laboratory business. This is taking away market share from the traditional laboratory business. It doesn't mean there's more tests. It means that those tests are being conducted with patients driving the volume instead of it coming through a practitioner. And the rise of preventative health is clear for this. Okay? Genetic testing is one of the best ways for you to be preventative with your care. I'll give you a couple different examples. One, I took a pharmacogenetic test about 4 months ago. This is a test that will determine how my body reacts to different medications that you're on. Historically, it's been used with psychiatry, where they can help determine which depression medication is proper for you, which one your body is going to react to without having negative side effects. Typically, it's trial and error. My example is I'm an ultra-rapid metabolizer of a class of drugs that are pain drugs. Okay, so my body chews through pain medications faster than the vast majority of people in the world. In fact, I go through pain drugs about 3 times as fast as a traditional person. That means it takes a lot more of the medication for me to reach the efficacy or feel the decrease in pain. Okay? I have always hated the dentist, and now it makes perfect sense. They gave me the Novocaine, they drill in my teeth, and it hurts. And I just thought they were sadists. It turns out it was always me. I'm not absorbing the Novocaine right. I had a vasectomy 6 months ago. That was horrible. Imagine if I would have been able to take this test before getting the vasectomy. I wouldn't have wanted to put my toes through the ceiling when they snipped. It was miserable, okay? So, I was really mad at my doctor when I found out that I'm an ultra-rapid metabolizer, and he never ran this test on me. So I asked him, why have you never done this? He goes, well, yeah, it's just not top of mind. You come in because you have a headache or an upset stomach. I'm not gonna go outside of my way when I only have 5 minutes with you. I can treat the one thing that you come to me with instead of going outside of the norm. But this is starting to change. People have more access to this information online. ChatGPT is changing the world on how people are looking at this. And there was actually a recent New York Times article that talked about a practitioner, 43-year-old practitioner, an internal medicine doctor whose father was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Now, his doctor did run a pharmacogenetic test, and it turns out he was predisposed to a genetic abnormality that dramatically increased the risk of pancreatic cancer. Well, she goes, well, maybe I should run this test on myself. And her quote is, I had no idea this was possible for me. This is a 43-year-old doctor. Obviously, I mean, she's not a stupid person. She's a doctor, right? But unless she's proactively chasing this type of information or affects her personally, she wasn't going to go out and seek that this treatment was available. So she ran the test on herself. Turns out she has that abnormal gene as well. And so now she's able to change her protocols. And she says, it influences my treatment moving forward. I'm going to get more proactive screens throughout the rest of my life. I can catch cancer earlier. She says, I'm so empowered by this information. That's the feeling that people get when they utilize our service. And so here's what it is. It's the blend of diagnostic testing. It's a virtual practitioner with a live medical staff. We have 135 brick-and-mortar locations across the country. But the power of the software that we just launched in July allows us to create a hub-and-spoke system around those 135 collection sites. But you think about it like this. Everybody has probably used telemedicine. I think everybody in this room has probably tried to use telemedicine over the last couple years, right? And the dramatic limitation of telemedicine is what? It's just a conversation. How does the doctor actually know what's going on? Do you have a fever? I feel like I do. Is your throat sore? Yeah, I feel like it kind of is. Well, it could be strep, so I'm going to go ahead and write you an antibiotic. There's no diagnostic test to help them determine that you are in fact suffering from whatever it is that you're complaining about. This is what we're changing. We blend the efficiency of telemedicine with the access of diagnostic testing all across, bypassing the healthcare system by being direct to consumer. Here we go. Okay, so you can see what's going on the phone there, but if you want to, this is actually the interactive part of the session. If you want to, go ahead and pull out your phone. And if you scan that QR code, I'm going to spam you for the rest of your life. I appreciate your information. But if you scan either one of those QR codes, you're going to see how this program works. Scan the QR code. It takes you to a test menu. This is a test menu set up specifically for an independent pharmacist in the rural markets of Greenville, South Carolina. In this market, there's no family practice doctors, okay? There's an urgent care and there's an emergency room. The only family practice doctor is a pain management doctor that just writes a ton of narcotics, which is a whole other problem in the rural markets, okay? So instead, this independent pharmacy now can add diagnostic testing to their suite of services. They get people walking in every day that says, hey, I'm sick, I don't know what to do. Well, you probably should go to your doctor. I don't have a doctor. I'm not going to go into the city to go to the doctor. I just want something that's going to help me today. Now the pharmacist can say, scan the QR code through the ARCpoint Access platform. We're going to run a strep, a flu, COVID test on you. If you're positive for any of those, we're going to connect you with Brooke. Brooke is going to be your practitioner that's going to review the results with you, write the prescription. I'm going to fill the prescription for you right now if you need it. Boom. We have an urgent care that has been developed without an additional brick and mortar network in a pharmacy with an ARCpoint lab as the hub of that spoke. You see the power of that? You see how that works? You see how that creates a convenient access point for a cash service? And because of the economies of scale, because we have 135 sites, we buy these tests at a discounted rate. Because we virtualize the practitioners can zoom their way in and out of all these affiliate programs, these affiliate locations. And so we've decreased the cost of a practitioner that's not sitting there, not being effective on down days. They're able to move throughout each individual state as patients need them. Now, that's the system. How do we deploy this across the country? The traditional business model of ARCpoint is being a drug and alcohol testing provider for small and medium-sized businesses. And we've been doing that for years. We've been in business since '98, franchising since 2006. That's how we've acquired so many markets across the country. Well, now that we're a direct-to-consumer healthcare company, we take all those people that are walking through our brick and mortar every month. Roughly 23,000 people walk through an ARCpoint location every month. We've built a database that's close to 500,000 names. When they get entered into our database, whether they come into an ARCpoint lab for a drug and alcohol test, a background check, a fingerprint, or whether they're coming in through one of those affiliates, either a pharmacy, a mobile phlebotomy office, a chiropractor, a nutrition store, they get entered into our database. And now we have the ability to market to them. We create awareness that you no longer have to go to your doctor to order a diagnostic test. You see, in the United States, that's legally what you have to do. Just like in Canada, you have to go to the doctor, you have to get an order, and then you have to go to the lab. We've virtualized that system. So now you can just come directly to the lab to get the diagnostic test. Don't have time to go to the doctor for your annual physical? Just run the exact same diagnostic test that your doctor would run on you. And if anything's out of whack, if your lipids are out of range, if your cholesterol is high, if your blood pressure is high, then you can interact with a physician virtually, and they can leverage the diagnostic information that we have. We use all of that to sell wellness panels, genetic testing, specialty testing, and then other services in the future. So the distribution network is where the value of ARCpoint starts to come in. Once again, we are a software company in the healthcare space that's able to leverage a reoccurring monthly revenue stream from the affiliates that this service supplements and complements their business. So let's talk about a nutrition store for a second. A nutrition store wants to sell you a tablet, say a vitamin D tablet, a vitamin C tablet. How much power does that vitamin shop have if they can actually tell you that you're deficient in vitamin D? Or if they can tell you which antioxidant is specifically tailored for your genetic makeup? There's power in that information. They can customize your vitamin regimen based on what your body specifically needs. And that makes them different in their market. Or a pharmacy. We already used this example, but they are losing prescriptions to the big companies like CVS and Walgreens. They also are making most of their profits now no longer off the prescriptions. They need more prescriptions. Most of their money comes from selling Coca-Cola and bubblegum at the front. But we can help them increase their prescriptions by not only providing them a revenue stream of the diagnostic testing that they're doing, but also making sure they don't lose that prescription by telling a customer that walks through the front door, hey, I don't feel great. I'm sorry, you have to go to the urgent care across the street. And that urgent care's EMR is going to then send them to CVS or Walgreens. Keep them in their network, keep them in the location. They're going to get to fill that prescription. And the test becomes a revenue stream. All we ask in exchange is a small monthly reoccurring software as a service fee. So if you look at our network right now, this is what our network looks like. These are all the locations that we have brick and mortar. We're not a small company. 135 sites that are all franchised, owned by independent business owners. They serve their markets exceedingly well. They've been doing it for years, selling drug and alcohol testing to small, medium-sized businesses. They're used to doing B2B. Now, they have the ability to expand outside of just that one blue little dot into a network that looks like this. So just in the Greenville market, remember, we just launched this in July. And in the Greenville market, we already have this many chiropractors, a gym, 2 healthcare stores. One of those healthcare stores has 3 locations, and a pharmacy with 4 locations. 15 locations are an extension of the one brick and mortar that we had as an ARCpoint location. As you think about valuation of a company and the distribution network that we have, what does this look like if you start talking about a monthly software as a service fee from 15 affiliates times 135 markets across the country? This gets to be a very interesting business, and that's not even talking about the revenue that we receive from the royalties that are generated from the franchisees selling diagnostic testing into those affiliates that are set up. You follow me? Doesn't take a lot for us to really ratchet down that network, and this is what it looks like. So in 2016, we broke 100 locations. I came on board in 2017. You can see what properly happened to all the locations. I was amazing at my job for the first 2 years. There was a cleanup process that had to happen inside of the ARCpoint network. We had to get rid of some of the franchisees that weren't performing very well. And so we dropped the numbers, retooled the company, turned it into a software as a service company for direct-to-consumer testing, and we started to grow again. But here's the affiliate network. Launched in July, and we already have 119 affiliates set up out of 22 additional markets. Just launched in July. In 2 months, we've almost doubled the access points for getting diagnostic testing through ARCpoint. What does it look like in the future? We talk a lot about diagnostic testing, but imagine we can do diagnostic testing, but we can do infusions, we can do injections, we can do imaging, MRIs, CAT scans. We buy low, we sell high. But even within that, because we're not doing the healthcare scheme, because we're not playing the insurance game, we offer it at a dramatically discounted rate. Okay, the example that I use on this to kind of punch this home is that I have low T. The reason that I know I have low T is because I went and got a diagnostic test. Now, I go to the gym every day, I CrossFit, I stopped hitting PRs. My clean wasn't growing, my squat snatch wasn't growing, my deadlift wasn't growing. I felt like something was wrong with me. I went to the doctor and I said, hey doc, I'm not progressing in my weightlifting like I used to. He said, well, how old are you? I said, 44. He goes, well, there's your problem. You're getting old. I said, I know older people than me that are doing better. That can't be. Well, that's the answer, right? It was an easy answer for him because he had 5 minutes with me. That's it. I was asking for a more complicated treatment protocol. So I did my research. I figured out that that could be low T. I went and got the diagnostic test. Turns out I'm supposed to be between 900 and 1100. I was at 115. I sent the test result into my doctor. I didn't do anything. I told you so or anything like that. I just sent him the results. He started prescribing me testosterone. I'm now back in a normal range. I monitor myself with direct-to-consumer diagnostic testing. I don't go to my doctor. I look to see the range. We leverage artificial intelligence to make sure that I understand when I get that result what that means for me specifically. And then I just send those in to him whenever I need the new prescription. It's that easy. That's the magic of what we're doing at ARCpoint. So we make it easier. We make it less confusing. We make it more cost-effective. Oh, here's the magic part. If I would have gone through my healthcare program, my insurance, that testosterone test would have cost me $272. According to the electronic medical records, what I can put in my insurance, and it spits out what I'll pay out of pocket. It cost me $79, and I have wonderful margin inside of that test. We save substantial amounts of money by bypassing the whole system, and we still make good money on the side. Okay, so what's our leadership look like? I am the CEO of the group that includes the technology company, the franchise group, as well as an addiction medicine business. I have over 2 decades of experience in healthcare diagnostics, working for small companies, working for private equity. I'm a growth strategist. I help companies grow in new, innovative ways in traditional markets. That's just what I've always done. Bob Mann came on board about 4 months ago as the president of the franchise group. We've equipped him with the tools that we've built over the last 2 years, the investment that we've made in the ARCpoint Labs software, so that he can now leverage his expertise as a growth strategist, growing clinical business in the United States through these distribution channels. Felix Miranda is the founder. He's also a board member. He understands franchising. He's always been a franchisor. For 40 years, he's been a franchisor, so he understands that world very well. We'll round out the board with Roger, Adam, and David, all board members who understand the public market extraordinarily well. We went public as an RTO last October, and so yeah, here we are today. Some share information. I think the big takeaway for you guys, you can read the rest of there, but insider ownership, we own the majority of the company. Between the founder and myself, we own 65% of the company. We have a very close, tight cap table outside of that with insider ownership at another probably 15% that are very closely held, sort of friends to the company. So here you go. Finish it up. We provide a convenient, cost-effective way to get access to diagnostic testing, period, in the United States. It's clunky, it's cumbersome in the traditional way. We help make it smoother. The growing network of franchise locations, 135 right now. We have another 19 that are in various phases of opening. We grow at about 30 new locations every year. And once again, we just launched the software platform in July. We're on a sprint right now for the next 2 months to make sure that we can grow this. We're going to be looking at the end of September, how many affiliates are paying us a monthly recurring revenue. We're grabbing all the statistics from the pay-per-click, the SEO strategy, and the sales team deployment to be able to then do a capital raise at the beginning of next year, leveraging those stats to continue to increase. There you go. That's it. I think we have a little bit of time for questions. Yeah, go for it.
The geography will remain as United States, or you guys are looking to expand outside of the U.S.?
Every Canadian that we talk to says, can you bring this to Canada, please? No, right now our goal is to stay in the United States.
Could you describe how the locations or the franchises work? Is it a machine? Is it a process? What do they have? And they'll have genetic testing, or what kind of testing do they each have access to?
That's a wonderful question. So they're more collection sites than they are actually laboratories.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we can run point-of-care tests, lateral flow tests, the simple tabletop analyzers. We don't do any gene sequencing or any high complex lab work in our facilities.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a little bit of the magic of ARCpoint. New technology comes out all the time that makes these high complex labs have to compete and stay on top of who's going to have the most comprehensive panels, the sensitivity, the specificity, the breadth of services that they have to offer. We just partner with them. So as new technology and new labs come online with new innovative tests, they come to us and say, hey, can we be a part of your distribution system?
Mm-hmm.
They give us a wholesale price, and then we just provide a retail price. Remember, these labs, if they were addicted to the insurance schemes before, it can take them 4 to 6 months to get reimbursed for the work that they're doing, and that's if the insurance pays. And so they love the fact that we have a net 30 payment scheme for them, where we'll pay them in order to get access to that test, but we pay them right away.
So you sell them the tests?
Yeah, so we're a wholesaler of diagnostic testing.
Mm-hmm.
We're sort of the technology hub, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have the brick and mortar collection sites. We have the patients that want to buy it. We have the affiliate network that can distribute it. But the high complex labs want access to that network.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're the connection to provide that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Thanks, everybody.